I want to learn a Gemara in Chulin. I'll learn over with you a Gemara in Chulin. And I must preface Limud that what we're learning might seem a little, how shall I say it? You might not grasp right away what I'm saying, but I'll try to make myself as clear as possible. The ones that have learned already a few years should understand what I'm talking about. But it's a very, very interesting Gemara, and it's not simple talk. Dorish, the Gemara is in Chulin, Daf Samach, I think it is. Dorish Rab Chanina bar Papa. Rab Chanina bar Papa darshaned a very, very familiar pasuk that we say in the davening every morning. Yehi chavoid Hashem la'olam yismach Hashem b'masa. Yehi chavoid Hashem la'olam, what does that mean? Yehi, let it be. Yehi chavoid, the kavod, the honor, the glory, whatever you'll touch in English, the word kavod of the Rebbeinu Shalom should be eternal, forever. La'olam. Yismach Hashem b'masav. Yismach Hashem, the Rebbeinu Shalom should enjoy and be happy the masav with his kriyans. More or less, I think that's the pasuk, more or less, in English, in its most simple terms. Yehi chvoid Hashem la'olam. May the glory of Hashem Yisbarach be forever. And Yismach Hashem b'masav, and may the Rebbeinu Shalom be happy and joyous with his creed. So Abchananya bar Papa comes to explain what does this pasuk mean. What is he? I mean, actually, if you ask yourself a question, you say the davening every morning, the parak before Ashrei. What does Yichvod Hashem L'Yolam Yismach Hashem B'Masav mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? The Rebbeinu Shalom should receive joy from his creed. What does it mean? His honor should be forever. I mean, actually, to understand it, what does it mean? Now, Rab Chananya bar Papa came to explain this pasuk, what it means. So he says, you know what this means? You know who really said this pasuk? You know who's the application of this pasuk? You know who's the concretization of this pasuk? Sar ha'olam. The officer, the officer, the general, of the world. Who's the general of the world? Not the Rebbeinu Shalom. Taisus brings Matatra. Matat. Mem tes tes. Reish Vod Nun. That's a Malach. He's an important figure in the world of the Malachim, of the angels. The Gemara says that this pasuk of Yehi Chavoid Hashem L'Yolam Yismach Hashem B'Masav. I have a reason why I said his name for short, Matat, because we're not even to say the name of the Malach. That the Malach Matat, he's the one that said this pasuk. Malach Matat, where does he come in with this pasuk? When did he say this pasuk Matat? When did he express, how shall I say, the sentiments that are mentioned in this pasuk? Where was it? Where was it actualized, this pasuk, in Matat's experience? So the Gemara says, B'shosha Omar Kadosh Baruch Hu leminoi be'ilonoi. By the time of Bereshit, by the time of Bereshis, in the 6 days of creation of the world, B'shah, at the moment Shakadosh Baruch Hu said, when he created the trees that cover the world, when the Rabbanu Shalom mentioned and brought into existence the process of creation of trees, in that sentence it says the word leminoi, which means that the trees should emerge to its species, meaning that the trees, apple trees, cherry trees, peach trees, fig trees, walnut trees, that the trees there were species of trees. Wait a minute, it'll become clearer. When the Malach Matat heard that the Rabbanu Shalom said, B'shah Shama Kadosh Baruch Hu leminoi be'ilonoi, when the Rabbanu Shalom mentioned in the creation of trees that there should be species of trees, so a weird thing happened in the world. A weird thing that we do not have a perception of how it's possible, but I'll tell you the words and I'm going to try and explain it a little bit. What happened? Something weird happened. When the Rabbanu Shalom said by the trees that they should emerge in categories and species, Nosu Deshoyim Kal V'choyma Ba'atzma. So the verdure, I think is the word. The grass, there's such a word, verdure, V-E-R. The grass that grew on the face of the earth, Nosu Kal V'choyma, they rationalized intellectually, and they made an a fortiori, Kal V'choyma, they made an a fortiori rationalization. They said the following. Im ritzoynei shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu be'evuvia, if it is the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that the earth, the cosmos should exist in an irbuvia. Irbuvia means something mixed up, in a chaos, in a lack of order. Lama amal minayu beilanais. If it were the will, they were talking to themselves, kevayachol, the grasses, the lowly plants, the simple plants, kevayachol, were rationalizing, and they were saying, when the Rabbanu Shalom said, let there be trees, he injected the word lemino, that there should be species. So if it was his will that the world should be indiscriminate, and there should be no order and no symmetry in the cosmos, then why did he say by the trees they should have an order and they should be with a species? They asked the question. First, I'm just learning the text, then we'll come back to it. And they pressed the question further. And they took this word leminoi that they perceived, this word leminoi, to its species, and they pressed it further. They analyzed it further. They said, "Uma ilonois she'ein darken lot says be'ervuvia." Says, they said, let us look at trees. Is it the nature of trees to grow snug, close up to each other? No. You go in a forest, in a natural forest, in an unpolluted forest, you see the space between the trees. In the world of nature, trees believe in live and let live. You one tree here, a few steps later another tree. So the grass said to themselves, Ma doch the trees, Uma ilona shein taken lot says be'ervuvia. Let us look at the trees that naturally they separate themselves from each other. Still in all, Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Rabbanu Shalom said, Leminoi, the Torah, the Rabbanu Shalom expressed himself in the Torah even with something naturally. Naturally, with something lives with a certain specific order with it. There's an individuality to trees. Still in all, the Torah emphasized and cautioned during the process of the creation of the trees the Torah injected the word leminoi, there should be their species. So the grass and the verdure rationalized to themselves, and they said, "Onu we, alachas kama v'kama, we who live so close to each other, little blades of grass that are smack up to each other in clusters, in bunches, we that naturally do not have this natural expression of removing ourselves one from the other, where we have the tendency to be intertwined and intermingled, and where there's no symmetry, so we certainly have to be careful. Alachas kama v'kama, we certainly should worry about growing in species and having a natural balance of letting each other live. You see what happens on a lawn? People want to develop their lawn. You get this thing you call crab grass, falls in the wrong place. It eats up the whole grass. But where the grass is one species, you have a beautiful blanket. It's really beautiful. You see some lawns, it's amazing to look at it. I was in the Versailles Gardens. You see the lawns in the... Although it's man-made, but still after it's made, it functions. So anyway, the Gemara gives this peculiar conversation here that the verdure, that the grass, so to speak, was speaking to themselves, and they learned the Pasuk Chumash, and they said, if by the tree it says Leminoi, we certainly should be Leminayhu. Posach Sara Olam. So on the Malach Matat heard this coming from the grass, and he opened and he sang the pasuk, Yehi k'vod Hashem l'olam yismach Hashem b'masa. The glory of the Rebbeinu Shalom is forever, and the Rebbeinu Shalom shall receive happiness and joy from his creatures. You know, I want to tell you a few things. We're learning a piece of Ein Yankiv, of Haggadah. You have to know how to learn Haggadah to understand, you know, the grass doesn't speak. Did you ever hear grass speak? The grass doesn't have an intellect to make halachonim. I was learning this piece of Gemara this week, and mamish, something came to me in the Gemara. I tell you, I was in a public place. I nearly stood up and started to dance. If I weren't afraid, they would lock me up. Listen here. I'll try to explain the Gemara here. An amazing piece of Gemara. The first key to the Gemara is, who is this Malach Matat? The Marsha says, you don't know yet, all of you, who the Marsha was. The Marsha was such a giant. The Marsha, bring me a little Nagelwasser. The Marsha says, the Marsha learned Haggadah. Sometimes you have to be a holy person, which I'm not, but sometimes it's open. You see in the Marsha such things that what you see, that's only the product of the Baal HaKodesh. The Marsha brings that Matatron is the Gematria Shin Dalet Yud, Shakai, 314. The Shem Shakai, one of the names of the Rebbeinu Shalom is Shin Dalet Yud. The Rebbeinu Shalom, in the Torah we find the Almighty is referred to in a few names, the 7 names. One of the 7 names of the Almighty is Shin Dalet Yud. We don't pronounce the Dalet not to take the name in vain, so we say Shakai. Shakai, Shin is 300, Dalet is 4, Yud is 10. Marsha says Matatron is up to 314. Mem is 40. Tes, right? And how much? 40 and Tes? 49. And another Tes? 58. Right? And Reish is 200. 258. And 10?
16.
And where was the last one? None. Is how much? 314. Right or not?
268 and 50?
Again,
What?
a vav. We skipped the vav.
Oh, that was a 6.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't a 10.
So it's 340. The Mashal points out that Matatra is the same gematria, mathematical value, as the Shem of the Rebbeinu Shalom Shin Daled Yud. So what does that mean? The Mashal says that's not a coincidence. That means that the Malach, Matat, relates to this Shem. What's the Shem? Shin Daled Yud. Each Shem means something. When you learn Torah and you get into Torah, you see that Yud Kei Vav Kei is Rachman, Elokim is Din. Rashi and Chumash brings it. And Rashi and Chumash brings what's the meaning of Shin Daled Yud. Rashi brings a Chazal. Rashi brings a Gemara that in the word Shin Daled Yud, in the word Shin Daled Yud is the last letters are Dai. Dai means sufficient. So Rashi brings a Gemara, an interesting Gemara, an amazing Gemara. You have to understand the Gemara. The Gemara itself needs hours of explanation. The Gemara says like this, that at the time of creation, at the process of creation, whatever it was, which is beyond our intellect to understand it fully, the Gemara says, so to speak, the world was unfurling. Our little planet, our speck of atomic dust, the other planets, the other constellations, the Milky Way, the cosmos was unfurling. It was going to such dimensions that our mind cannot grasp such numbers. Billions, trillion, billions, billions and billions doesn't mean anything. It's bigger than that. At the time of creation, it was going. So the Rebbeinu Shalom said, die, stop, sufficient. At a point. So the Shem Shakai, the Shem Shin Dalet Yud, represents the dimensions of the entire cosmos which are beyond the grasp of man. Puts a dimension to the cosmos. The Shem Shin Dalet Yud says that my Bereshis goes to this point and not further. That's clear. That's the meaning of Shakai. That's the meaning of the Shem of Shin Dalet Yud. And this is what Rashi says in Chumash. This is not mysticism. This is a Rashi, a Chumash, based on a Gemara, a quote from the Gemara, Rashi Chumash. That one of the 7 names of Hashem Yisboch, one of them is Shakai. The character, the implication of this name is that was the name that said, Die, Misha Ama Loilamoy, die. The Rebbeinu Shalom said, die, sufficient. So we little specks of dust that are here today and gone tomorrow, what is a human being and what is our planet? We see very little. Our vision is so opaque, so dim. We have to have the ability sometimes to laugh at ourselves, at our vision, our intelligence, how we can be egotistical. To the Malach Matat, that his name has the same numerical value as Shin Dalet Yud, to him this presented a problem. To him, this presented a problem. What's the problem? What is the difference between a malach and a kriyant and a human being? A malach has perceptions in elikus that a human being doesn't have. According to the Rishonim, if we have to understand an aspect of the malachim, why don't the malachim have bechira? Why don't they have, how do you say again bechira in English? Free choice, what's the word for bechira? Free will. Free will. Because it is as if that they are frozen in awe. Does a person have free will if a man goes up to him with when a submachine gun says, give me your money, has a free will to say no. It's hard to say no to him. Because the realization of seeing somebody with a machine gun in front of me and he's asking me for my $2 out of my pocket, I'm not going to argue with him. I'm frozen by this realization. A malach, this is a small marshal, a malach, his concept of relikus, of the Almighty is so clear. It's the opposite of the opaqueness of a human being. Everything is so clear there that he has his mission and that's it. He sees it and that's it. There was a problem by Matat. Matat looked at the creation of the world, and at the first look of the world, Matat saw that the kavod Hashem, the glory of Hashem is limited. It has delineations. The Malach, in his existence, they say Ein Sof, they say they're all. And Matat, who was appointed to be whatever that means, I don't want to go into that now, to the Sarah Oilam. At first sight, it seemed to him, they're giving him a menial job. Where they're putting him in a place where they said die, where it's limited. To us the cosmos is unlimited. Who are we? What are we? Skip breakfast and we're crazy. To Matat, this was a very big problem. A world of limit, where the k'vod Hashem is limited. Something happened. The Rav Shlomo went to create the trees. The Rav Shlomo went to create the trees, and he said, Liminoi. You look at a forest, it's such a beautiful thing to see forests. You stand back, it could look like a blanket from a plane. It looks like a piece of cloth. Even if you're at a distance, you don't see the individuality in the forest. Still, in this mass, in the seeming indiscript mass, the Torah says "Leminoi," that there's such a thing in nature as species. Species means individuality. And then something happened. I don't know, and I cannot explain to you what it means that the grass looked at the trees and looked at the word leminoi in the trees, the word species in the trees, and intellectualized and made an a fortiori reasoning that they certainly have to be with the species. But the fact is, for us, what's important for us is that after the Rebbe Shalom said in one place, Leminoi, individuality and uniqueness, it was in the Bria, something else applied it to itself. Something in the Bria cried out against Ibuvia, against the erasure of individuality, and screamed that there is such a thing as individuality. There is such a thing as uniqueness. This unleashed a force that goes beyond all when the Rebbeinu Shalom said to the world, die, when the Rebbeinu Shalom said the world is one thing, die, a limit, so only so much and so much kavod Hashem could come out of the world. You see, you go, you look at a Rembrandt. You see one Rembrandt, 10 Rembrandts, 100, they're not more. When Matat first looked at the world and he saw it's one thing, limited, there was a concern that there's only a certain amount of glory of Hashem Yisbarach that can come out of this. It's not unlimited. He's used unlimited. But when he saw that in the world, in this cloud, he saw in this cloud there is a mechanism of breaking it down into pratim, into individual, that it's not an ironclad cloud, that the seeming grass which is in the script and which is one mass, there became an individuality of Laminoi. They took the concept of Laminoi. There was unleashed in the Bria new force. There are no more limitations. What does this mean? The problem is kavod Hashem. The problem is the existence of the world is l'chvoidi bara. The raison d'etre, the reason for the whole creation is l'chvoidi barosiv yitzartiv hafasitiv. That's the tachlis of the world. There should be kavod Hashem coming out of the world. When Matat saw that the grass made a kalvachoyma, whatever that is, whatever that symbolizes, whatever that means, Matat saw that there's a mechanism, there's a breakdown mechanism in the Bria that can break down the limitations and take every prat and make kloim out of it. A species is a prat and a klal. When Matat saw this, he's saying, k:bod Hashem לעולם ישמח Hashem b'ma'asov. The limitation is not really a limitation. It's a limitation and it's not a limitation because you can break up the... You saw that the Shoim Nosu Kavachayim Bats, when they broke up the Pratim and they became individualized and they became and they expressed their uniqueness, that's a new kavod Hashem. What's a tzaddik? You know what a tzaddik is? You think a tzaddik is long payas? That's a tzaddik. Believe me, it's not. If you look in the last prakim of the Mesilas Yesharim, you'll see, I mentioned to you before, the genius of a tzaddik. You know how you measure a tzaddik who's bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger? Is how much kavod Hashem he can produce. And it's hard for us to conceive this, but the Mesilas Yesharim talks about the achila of a tzaddik, of when a tzaddik eats. When we eat for two reasons. We're hungry and we like the taste of the food. And if we really like the taste of the food, we eat even when we're not hungry. But we can't understand how eating can become like Shemoneh Esrei. The Mesilas Yesharim talks that by the big tzaddikim, when they eat, the eating is a gilui of k'vod Hashem. When they breathe, the breathing is, there's a level, which is not our level. There's a level of a tzaddik that wherever he turns and whatever he does, it produces kavod Hashem. A unique spark of kavod Hashem. Everything that a person does, every physical thing, every spiritual thing, everything that happens in the world can fall two ways. It can be kodesh or chayil. Matat saw in the kalvachoyma of the grass, he saw an unleashing of a mechanism that creates kavod Hashem. He says, okay, Yichvod Hashem l'yolam yismach Hashem b'masa. It's so this that we said to Olam, he died, is really not a limitation because it's such a machine that keeps on producing. The whole Yiddishkeit and the higher levels, it's hard, it's so hard. Oish. In the darkness that we find ourselves immersed and suspended, and we live in a dark, dark, dark world. A distorted, grotesque world. The Navi says, the world gets so sick, on that which is really bitter, they say it's sweet. On that which is sweet, they say it's bitter. That's the world we live in. It's very hard to understand, that the world is a place that has to produce k'vod shemayim. The Chazon Ish Zechron Livracha used to go swimming. The doctor told him to bathe in the ocean in Tel Aviv. They had a private beach. Swimming. In America, I have to tell you what the beach is. When the Chazon Ish went swimming, it was, maybe you could see it, I think you could possibly see it. It was a river k'vod Hashem. This is the genius of the world. This is what the world has to aspire to constantly produce k'vod shemayim. In the Gemara, I told you, I mentioned many times, I was speaking to somebody this week. The Gemara speaks a lot about saying Shalom Aleichem to somebody. A stranger comes in, the Gemara says you should run over and give him Shalom Aleichem. So I was telling somebody I knew, you know this book, Ish Tzaddik Hoya. I knew this Rabbi Levine, I knew him. This Ish Tzaddik, I knew him. How do I know him? I was on a wedding, a relative of mine in Yerushalayim, and he came in. There wasn't a lot of people at the meal. There were about 75 people, and everybody went over and gave him Shalom Aleichem. He didn't know me. In Yerushalayim, there's no shortage of beards. Everyone gave me Shalom Aleichem. Had a beard there. So he gave me Shalom Aleichem. Quickly. Maybe a second more than I would usually expect. He had a genius of saying Shalom Aleichem. I felt that something strange in his Shalom Aleichem. When he looked in your face with that, the natural smile. First of all, you felt for a second as if you and he are alone in the room and there's no one else there. And the person giving a lot of Shalom Aleichems. You know what I mean? How can you feel like that? You feel like an ant in an anthill. But I saw that it was an avoider. By him, Shalom Aleichem was an avoider. It was a creation. It was not, I don't fool myself. I gave a lot of big people Shalom Aleichem and I never felt it. He had developed a virtuosity in Shalom Aleichem. There was something funny there. I'm not talking about vibes. You felt that it's hard to describe that. He's suctioned up, that he's only talking to you. He's giving you at this 30 seconds, 20 seconds, Shalom Aleichem, and there's nobody else left in the room. He's concentrated on you. You felt that it's a k'vod Hashem. I'll give you an example. It's ordinary. What could there be in a Shalom Aleichem? What could you expect? I gave the Belzer Rebbe Shalom Aleichem, and Rebbe Salma Shalom Aleichem, and the Chazon Ish Shalom Aleichem, and the Brisker Rav Shalom Aleichem, and other people. Never felt it. This man happened to develop an avoider. I'm just giving you examples of Yichvod Hashem l'yolam Yismach Hashem b'masa. We don't know. We're very earthbound. We are very earthbound. What we think are big people are not big people. We're trained by the schools and the newspapers to think are big people. President. When I was a kid, I thought a president was next to a malach. I thought president next to a malach. I grew older, I started to read more information about the contemporary presidents. I read a book. I'm not talking about Nixon and Watergate. His language. Jimmy Breslin wrote a book. I was flabbergasted. The President of the United States uses vile, obscene words as a cabinet meeting. You think words? He talks about the most obscene things in the most obscene way. That's a big person. I was at a meeting who did me a favor in getting this building with the representatives from the House of Representatives. I wanted to hide under the table. This is a big person. This is big. I knew Jews who didn't understand the Mishnah that was so delicate. Their language was so refined. Their piety was so deep. We used to say Tillim when we were kids in shul with Jews who didn't understand the Tillim. There was a way of saying Shabbos afternoon. 20 Jews used to get together. One Jew used to see with the leader, used to say one pasuk, and all of us used to answer with the next pasuk. He said the third, and we answered with the fourth. And I could tell you that 90% of the people in that group didn't know what the Tillim meant. But it was V'yichvay Hashem l'Yolam. They were doing something. The success of the universe depends upon how much Kol Shemayim goes out from the world. Tzaddik means how much Kol Shemayim he can produce. That's the true meaning of what a tzaddik is. How much Kol Shemayim he really can produce. In America, you go in a bookstore and says, one of the best sellers next to the Bible, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Salesmen go take that course. They're interested in being nice to you? No! They want to sell you something. They want to get some money, some commissions. So they'll act nice to you. The Gemara says, having Mikabel is called on the soid upon in the office. Greet everybody with a nice face, with a nice smile. So somebody asked me, does that mean you should be false? You're in a bad mood and you should go, hello, honey. Hello, honey. Have a nice day, honey. The operator. Have a nice day. It's all sheker. So somebody asked me, the Gemara says you should always smile to somebody. Does it mean that you should be a chakran? I told you, you don't understand the Gemara. The Gemara says that you should learn Torah so much till you understand what a human being is, till no matter what mood you are, you'll understand that the next fellow standing next to you is not a monkey. That you have to treat him with a certain dignity, and then you'll smile no matter what mood you are. And if you do it out of the perspective of understanding the dignity of a human being, the holy dignity of a human being, it's avodas Hashem. It's not how to win friends and influence people. The whole tachlis of the world is Yichvod Hashem l'Yolam Yismach Hashem b'Mas. Go talk. Go on Park Avenue, go on Fifth Avenue, go talk. Nobody's going to think you're crazy. What are you talking? The whole grain of the world, the whole force of the world, the whole thrust of the world is opposite today of Yichvay Hashem l'Yolam. In the Kabbalah Svarim it says that the Rebbe Shalom, he's very pained by the world. Shchunta b'Elusa. What is your name? To me, when I touched here what the Gemara is talking about, Matat, why he's saying Yichvay Hashem l'Yolam, he saw that his individuality, his uniqueness, it goes yet further. To produce k'vod Hashemayim. If it's one piece of grass, so it's one k'vod Hashemayim. If each blade of grass, the Gemara says in a different place that on each blade of grass is a malach that sins and says and commands and grows. You have to know what that means. On each blade of grass. That means what we're saying, on each blade of grass is kavod shamayim. Because the mystery, the amazing, the strange mystery of what do you call chlorophyll? Why the grass is green. A malach, when a malach sees that wisdom, the malach stands in awe. We don't see it. On each blade of grass, there's kavod shamayim. In your life, there's kavod shamayim in everything you do. You could. There could be kavod shamayim mamish in everything a person does. Learning, davening, in how he keeps his room neat, clean. I don't understand. The Gemara says they saw, who was it? He was going someplace. So he said, based on the Rebbe, he was a Rebbe at Talmidim. The Talmidim asked him, where is he going? He said, I'm going to do a chesed with aluvasi. He says, with my, I say aluv in English, like my pitiful body. I said, Rahman said, my body says, I'm going to take a shower. Went to the bathroom. Yeah, it's k'vod shamayim. The person gave my body, I have to keep it clean. It's k'vod shamayim and everything. And this is the future of the world. This is the inner core of the world. This is what made Matat sing Yichvod Hashem L'Olam Yismach Hashem. People talk. In the power of speech, this k'vod shamayim. You hear a person talk, he opens his mouth, it's like a sewer. You learn Gemara all over Shas that the Torah spoke this way. So why did the Torah use such verbose language? Because the Torah did not want to express itself in a coarse way. People talk, you have to stop your ears and listen to when they talk. Because speaking is k'vod shamayim. How you speak, to whom you speak, what you speak. To say a kind word, to say an encouraging word. It's k'vod shamayim. You think it's easy to say encouraging words that mean something? I'd rather pick up 100-pound sack 10 times than have to encourage somebody. It takes more strength out of it. Because you just can't encourage somebody. Okay, it's going to pat him on the back, it's going to be okay. You have to be able to create a light, a truth, a reality, to penetrate to a reality that is going to be okay. That takes strength out of a person. All down the line, I'm just telling you, wherever you go, the future, we live in a world where there's a tremendous pessimism, and a tremendous despair, and a tremendous cynicism, and all these attitudes and emotions of sickness, are grotesque distortions. So a person is, what is the core of the world? What is the meaning of the world? The meaning of the world is k'vod Hashem L'Olam Yismach Hashem. To produce k'vod shamayim.